really heartbreaking finish here for Jeanne Richard, who was in third place the entire race of the women's mass start, and then just got beat by Polina Fialkova at the line. And she didn't stop to celebrate. I watched the clip back a few more times. She didn't stop to like fully celebrate, but it did seem like she was sort of coasting to the line a little bit to, like as if she was about to celebrate, and then suddenly Fialkova just kind of went right past her, and you could just see the absolute heartbreak in her eyes. So it sucks, it's tough to see. It seemed like there was a lot of tears after that, even during the flower ceremony. I watched all the way through to see how she would react, and it did seem like she was very upset the whole time. But I mean, I would be too. You're on the cusp of your first World Cup, and at home in front of your family and home crowd, and then you just get beat right at the line when she probably feels like she could have sprinted that last 100 meters and probably secured the third. But yeah, I don't know. It's despite all that, it's really, I'd say, inspiring for the French crowd to see how well Richard did, being 22 years old. And if you could have pointed the finger at any of these French women to be like, oh, they're going to be the one that is the hometown hero at Le Grand Bernat. But it really was Jeanne Richard after she had a great weekend at home.
Yeah, and you hate to see it happen to anyone, but hats off to Fialkova for continuing to ski that whole last lap all the way to the finish line as hard as she could. But this is still a great race for Jeanne Richard. Is this her best ever World Cup finish too?
Yeah, her best ever was the pursuit. She got fourth, and then she got fourth in the mass start again. So her two best results at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the weekend, if you had told her she was going to get 12th and 2 4ths, that is an awesome weekend right there at home, especially as a young athlete. Obviously, she's devastated not to get the podium there, but the future is definitely very bright for Jeanne Richard, and that French team has just been, the younger athletes on that French team have just been crushing it this whole season. And I think, biathlon is a brutal world. You have to be able to forget about things and move on, learn something from it, take the next step forward. But hopefully she's able to do that, take some time over the Christmas break, kind of gather herself again emotionally and mentally, and then be ready to rock and roll come Oberhof in January.
Yeah. So with her two fourth places, she moves up into 8th overall, just behind, like literally 8 points back of Justine Brezat-Boucher. And if you would tell Jeanne that after the first trimester, you're going to be basically just as good as Justine Brezat-Boucher, like you said, I think she would take that in a heartbeat. So really cool to see. I mean, we talk about how much depth France has, and just to have another athlete come up and be that competitive is great. Same thing with Océane Michelin, 12th overall. Not as great a start this weekend as she had earlier in the season, but still holding strong in 12th place. And holding strong is France's really strong number 12, or sorry, number 5. But I want to talk a little bit about the blue bib here, because it's really interesting with Jeanne Richard winning she currently has the blue bib going into the break, but she, with her 4th place, she actually lost a little bit of ground on Selena Grotian, who is also U23 and ended up winning that mass start and closed that gap. With that win, Grotian went from 3rd in the blue bib race to passing Michelin, and then right behind Richard. So we actually have a pretty exciting blue bib battle going on right now on the women's side.
Yeah, and I think we're still missing a few key players. We've seen some, there's been rumors of some sickness and illness going around the German team, and we talked about them a lot at the beginning of the year. And if they're healthy, I can see them getting right back in the mix, with Tannheimer especially. But in a way, the blue bib race is almost closer and at this point more exciting than the actual women's overall, which I don't think we would have expected or seen coming. But it's always fun to see young athletes do well. but to see so many of them doing well, especially, I don't even think you mentioned Sarah Anderson, who's still, sitting right there in fourth and definitely within striking distance if she has a podium and some of the other athletes have a not so great race. But I think the blue bib on the women's side, I think, is going to be one to watch, not only for the excitement of just this season, but for the future of biathlon, because that's what we're witnessing right now. And it looks really fun to watch.
Yeah. Sarah Anderson fourth, Kirkheide from Norway is fifth, and then Tannheimer, who me personally, I had her fighting for this blue bib. She, like you said, missed pretty much this whole weekend due to illness, but she was doing very well in the overall. After the second weekend in Hagfeldsen, she was second place, right behind Michelin. And then Richard, Grocia, and Anderson, all of these girls were able to sneak ahead of her due to not racing in Le Grand Bernard, which is tough. But I think she has the talent that she's going to re-enter the race, so to speak, in Oberhof, in Ruhpolding when we come back from the break. But yeah, it's really interesting and really cool just to see it's sort of like a glimpse of the future of biathlon, when I'm looking at these names, obviously Richard, she could win any day. Like she was only like one missed shot away from potentially winning that race against Preuss, because Preuss did not seem super strong in that mass start. Grosjean won the mass start. Michelin has the potential to win. Anderson has the potential to podium. So does Kirkheide. So any of these women, not only are they fighting for the blue bib, but they're definitely also fighting for potentially a win any day. So it's just really exciting, really cool.